Dearly redheaded, we are choosing consciousness today to get through this thing called grief. Interesting word, grief. It means love, which makes for a mighty good joke. But I'm here to tell you, there's nothing else. Just joy. And if the big picture tends to bring you down, go crazy once your life goes. Woo!
I'm still with Melissa Cox, and you didn't tell any pick on men stories. You got any? Got any funny little stories?
There's a bunch of stories, but which one is your favorite?
Just where you weren't caused harm, and anything funny said back, or I don't know. I'm putting you on the spot. If you can't think of anything, don't you don't have to.
There's so many that I just it's always hard to pick a really good one.
Yeah. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it. It was just a matter of I was raised even though my father was in World War II and much older, and my mother was much older. My parents, between them, convinced me men and women were equal. And then I had the luxury, and that was facetious, of moving down to South Florida and getting the wake-up call of my life. And that's why I'm very curious as to some of your experiences being a decade younger, being in a different part of the country. I think definitely plays in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think it does. And some of the experiences just are likely going to be the same. Women are taught we're not necessarily equal. It's like there's a compatibility kind of gap type thing. And, for me, experiences in my personal, as well as hearing stories from other people, a lot of the things that I hear is like, women, we can't speak up. And that may or may not relate to you. You can't speak up. You're not allowed. You're supposed to be cute and kind of stay back in the corner.
Well, I never felt like I couldn't speak up, but I'll tell you the consequences for speaking up were, I wouldn't have thought that I was standing up as much as I did. I just thought you stood up, you put your line in the sand, and the world changes, and that is not what happened. The forces that make you stand up get worse, and they become more covert.
Yep.
And I have heard men and women say, whether it's in a relationship or that in my next relationship I'm going to stand up. And I knew, I did learn some things out of this before I understood the magnitude of the brain injury I have. But I would say it's not about standing up. It's the other person's capacity to hear you. And then I started paying more attention to the person's capacity, which, by the way, didn't help me much either, because I was still standing up, and then they would fake capacity.
Right. And I think that kind of leads into the emotional intelligence. And for me, and from a lot of the conversations that I've had with women and high performing men, people that have stood up, when you see something, we're taught we see something, say something.
Ooh, high performing men. I went right to sex. Sorry. I can't help it. We're talking highly functional men.
Highly functional, highly functioning. So performance. It for me, now you've made me lose my thought.
Yep.
When people do speak up, if there's somebody on the other end that is not as emotionally intelligent as the person that's speaking up, that person, he, she, them, they, whatever it is, they're labeled differently. That's when you hear, oh, they're mean. Oh, they're aggressive. Oh, they're hard to work with. Oh, they are the one causing problems. And just because you're speaking up doesn't mean you're accusing anybody of anything. You're just kind of asking the questions. And in my experience and from listening to some of my really good girlfriends and a few of my guy friends, like that's just, it always comes in that same kind of pattern, people that are confident and they're emotionally intelligent. You want to learn because that learning and asking questions, even hard questions, is going to help you understand where you might have a disconnect and where you're missing something. So that's kind of what I've seen. Yeah.
I can see now at my level of healing and my journey back to self or whatever the fuck this is, I can see now right in front of me, I can see those patterns formulating based on what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like that's what I was derailed from because I did see through.
Yeah.
I had a discussion. Let me see if I can find the notes. Hold on a second. Hold on. I came out of, I had a psychologist, a male psychologist, throw me under the bus. I don't know if I told you that when we were talking about our personal experiences. And then I affiliated with a woman. I got very lucky, and her specialty is dissociation. And after I think I told you I was in the hospital and I came out of all that, she was the first person to say you've been dissociating since you were a toddler. Mm. And she, I still talk to her every 2 weeks, and I bring things to her along the lines of I'm trying to make this a around the barn moment and integrate what you just said. Mm-hmm. The language in therapy is still, I mean, not just like our business. There's a lot of therapists that absolutely suck. Yep. And they're getting butts in the seats in ways that are just astonishing at the detriment of healing. So what you were saying about emotional intelligence, I was trying to say to her, and she doesn't know as much as I wish she knew about my past, because I just can't always belabor my past. But she did ask me, the last time I spoke to her, where my ex-husband and I were concerned, she said, "Why didn't you leave?" Mm. And I said, "I wasn't doing anything wrong. Why didn't he leave?" I said, "Why do we still ask women, why don't you leave? My fucking house, my fucking kids." You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, if he gave me an inch, I would take a mile. And mm-hmm. I don't mean that in a I was going to try to make a dick joke. Let me not always try to make dick jokes. But
I'm picking up what you're putting down. I got it.
but he, whatever he cultivated after doing just really cruel things, whatever he did to stay. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
Okay. So you see what I'm saying. And then, so she does this thing with her head where she knows what I'm meaning. And she also talked to me about that I attracted these people. And I said, they're attracted to me. That's vastly different. I had to learn what I needed to learn because I still attract them, but I couldn't learn. My brain had been so injured that, right. It took an exorbitant amount of work to get to the point. So it's just these language things that we still do that hurt men and women.
Yeah.
You know, she said something about I accommodated. I'm like, accommodated? I said, I stood up like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
It's almost like, I've been doing, when I do my own kind of self work, it almost sounds like a moral injury, because it's the people that stand up, it's the people that fight, it's the people that are constantly, putting things in for themselves and standing up for what they believe. It's like they get hurt the most.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it because everything, and then having somebody to say, why didn't you leave? Well, I'm morally, why would I? It's who I am.
But that assumes that financial thing, like, that it's his house, he, financially. But when a woman has the finances, we have to start that little mental twist in our head.
Right. Because it's the failure. It's the failure of not being able to hold things together. Your morals are assaulted, and it doesn't sit right with us. And, we as humans are not designed to betray ourselves. And it feels, because of the systems that we've grown up with, it feels like betrayal.
What does speak to that?
When you have to leave something, even though you've stood up for something and voiced your opinion and what you think is right.
And you think it matters.
And it should matter. And in many cases, it should matter. Standing up for what you believe in, and then constantly being told, oh, that's not right. Or just with what you're saying falling on deaf ears. It does something to us psychologically.
Right.
And it ends up, for me, it ends up with this PTSD of a moral injury and trauma. And you get to this point where at one point when I was kind of in my unhealthiest, I remember sitting on the couch crying and watching my little, my robot vacuum, their Eureka or Roomba or whatever, like just lost and just spinning and spinning and spinning. And I remember looking at that vacuum and going, me too, buddy. Me too. Just because I wasn't sure where I was anymore in this world, and everything that I had believed in was not right. And I'm looping and looping and spinning. And my personal healing journey has come with learning to trust myself again, learning that, when I think that there's something right, I'm always going to ask the other side, because I'm emotionally mature enough to know that there's three sides to every story. And I might think something is one way, but I want to know what the other sides are, just in case I could be wrong. And then I can formulate my own opinion on, was I really right?
Yeah, I have a philosophy on there's three sides to every story.
Yeah?
Yeah, and I don't know if I can do it justice here. Because I was so dissociated, I don't think my side was truly reflective of what was going on. So there was the side that was, say for ease, against me. There was my inability to understand the magnitude of what was going on. Mm-hmm. And that's very different from two sides years ago, the meaning of there's two sides of the story and then there's the truth. I don't think my side of things, it was my truth, but it was so infiltrated by dissociation and other psychological Stockholm. It was the Stockholm opinion.
Yep.
And breaking out of that, I don't have to tell you. I'm again, like, little girl, proud of you, because you obviously broke out of that first marriage. How the hell did you get out of that?
I just literally just couldn't do it anymore.
And you knew enough, and the people around you supported you.
I mean, it wasn't that it was super unhealthy. I mean, it was unhealthy in a lot of ways, but there wasn't any kind of domestic violence issues.
Mm.
It wasn't this War of the Roses type thing. It was just like, you know what, we never should have done this in the first place. It was a convenience thing. Yeah, peace out, dude. And we went about our own little ways.
All right, so it was mutual and you both got it.
Yeah, it was very anticlimactic.
Yeah, see, the people around me, where are we, Brian? I thought you were just holding me.
Oh, no, we're at like 14 minutes.
Oh, and the thing, sorry. I lose all sense of time doing this. I can't, time is an illusion anyway, so I just do the best I can. But I would communicate to the people around me, and the people around me who were like me would assume that I was missing something or misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And that was very, very difficult to reach out, ask, for perspectives on things, and have the people more, it would elude them that somebody could have sociopathic tendency,
Yeah.
and it just, I mean, in one sense, I had a whole comma space, though. I did have a half a dozen or so people literally grab me by the shirt and slap me. But that's what I needed. This is really very interesting what we've gotten into, and I sort of didn't expect it. So I'm sort of wondering where we go from here.
Well, gosh, there's 1.5 million places.
All right.
There's 1.5 million.
You try.
I mean, I would kind of say, bring it all back to systems, because that's really kind of what's put us all here.
Indoctrination, right?
Yeah, it's the indoctrination into the systems and into just in everything, and it really, for me, the moral injuries and the PTSD and things that you and I have experiences with, as well as literally millions of other people. It comes between, it's this weird mismatch between complexity and the systems, rigid systems. And that's why I think burnout is on the rise and never going to get any better.
Well, the societal PTSD, you're right in calling it PTSD. I call mine CPTSD because I like the word complex in front of it because it was so long.
Yeah.
But I also prefer injury to disorder, PTSI. And I don't know if you've watched the recent episodes of the Redhead podcast, but I've had two doctors, Lanius and Corrigan, who are proponents of deep brain reorienting. You know anything about that?
I don't.
I'm going to be reaching out. I'm doing another. I did a 3-hour-long conference seminar with them on, and I'm doing another one with Lanius, and I'm going to be reaching out to her and somebody else who's reached out to me about doing that. It actually gets in front of the brain before it has the reaction. It's one of the only therapies that's out in front of what the brain goes through. Mm-hmm. And I think that the trickle down is that societal Stockholm meets PTSD.
Yeah.
and that's what when you say systems are broken. There's something that I'm attempting to make jokes about, and this is a little segue. Have you ever heard of the pseudobulbar reaction?
I have not.
That's when you have a excessive crying jag or an excessive laughter jag, and it can really become a neurological problem. Have you ever had within your trauma experiences any laughter or crying uncontrollable?
Absolutely.
Which?
And I kind of label that one as the moment I realized how broken I was.
Okay.
Okay. I was going what felt like through hell in a handbasket and trying to take on more and continue to take it all in because I was strong. I'm the responsible one. Oh, here we were. And we spent a weekend away with my husband and my girls because he knew how stressed I was. He at one point was concerned that I wouldn't wake up one morning, kind of thing. I mean, that's how bad it was for me. And we got away for the weekend, spent a wonderful time.
Melissa, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, honey. I just want to say that.
Thank you. And it's always hard to say things like that because you don't know how it's going to land and you don't really think that you're ever going to do it. And I've had friends, that have killed themselves. And it's, it's a hard thing to deal with. But for me, this weekend was one that was really relaxing, and not relaxing because you couldn't really relax, but being present for the girls was the most important thing. And we got in the car to come home, and it's only an hour drive. And as we turned off the dirt road onto the pavement, if this doesn't symbolize anything for you, I started crying. I started, a few tears behind my sunglasses, and the few tears turned to more tears and more tears. And all of a sudden I am uncontrollably sobbing and really couldn't figure out why. And after a second, I'm trying to hide it from my husband, trying to hide it from the girls, trying to hide it from everybody, because that's what I did. I realized it was because I was having to go back to my quote unquote normal life. And it wasn't going to work anymore.
It's too much.
It was a lot. It was an absolute lot. And my husband didn't really know what to say. I didn't know what to say. I couldn't really figure out why it was that I was crying because it'd been such a great weekend. But it was one of those things.
Yeah, I'm gonna exploit that and exploit it comedically and use myself. Can you see why women raging is on the rise?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Can you can it not can you see me raging? I raged very significantly. I had asked for very simple, basic things, knowing my brain was on fumes. And in my case, the insinuation was put into my head, and I'm not saying my head did anything with it, that the people around me mistakenly thought I wanted to die. And I conveyed to my psychologist months before my episode, I'm like, I'm not suicidal. I'm fucking homicidal.
Yes.
Maybe you're not getting this, sir, man, person with a penis.
Right.
But he I didn't find the connection and understanding of rage in women until after my incident.
Yeah.
That's something on this podcast that I want to talk about. I, prior to that, had 3 that I can remember, 3 episodes of laughter that I couldn't control. And that the first one was do you want me to talk about it?
Yeah, please.
Because I don't want to take away from why you were crying and make light of it. That is not my goal.
No, not at all. No.
I had a pretty thank you. Thank you. I had a pretty tumultuous educational journey with my older son. I mean, it was hell. It was everyday brutality, trying to get him through the educational system. And of course, there's me, who doesn't have to be liked. The gift of being autistic. I'm not looking to be liked. I'm looking to solve a problem. And there was a situation, and I'm not when I finally get this story out, it'll probably be anticlimactic, but there was a situation in high school where he was taking a computer programming course and was having some struggles. Now, autistics sometimes need a different level to be shown something so they can then master it and exceed the person that's teaching them. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it does. Yes.
Oh, I knew I loved you. So I had this experience before with where if it was in chess, they just had, I sometimes think people don't teach autistics because they know they're going to become better at something if you teach them. I mean, that's a whole fucking conversation right there. So it's high school. He's got a very left-brained instructor, type of guy who thinks he's the smartest one in the room. I've been in finance. I've been in that room a lot. And I wasn't going to let this guy off the hook. He essentially, it happened several times where he should drop the course. He should drop the course. I'm like, no, you should teach the course. You should teach the course. This isn't a he problem. This is a you problem. But anyway, so, I handled it. I did what I had to do. I embarrassed him publicly. He had to teach my son. My son got through the course. So high school problems were numerous, and I just decided my son wanted out. When he was in 10th grade, he wanted out. He finished 10th grade with tutors and then combined 11th and 12th grade at home and had tutors. He was done. A lot went down. A lot went down. So when it came to that final 11th and 12th year combined, we were trying to get creative. And I went to the principal, who there was no love lost there. And I said, he builds computers. Can we develop an independent study around and get him some credit for building computers? She says to me something like, I have nobody that can oversee that. I said, that is the most stupid answer I've ever heard. Now I want 2 independent study courses, because he's not only going to build it, he's going to show it.
Right.
To her credit, she made the guy who told him months prior he shouldn't be programming oversee the 2 independent studies. And I started to laugh. I bet you I laughed for an hour. I couldn't control it. So that was my first very funny, positive experience, because those battles were numerous for me, and nobody wanted to deal with me, and nobody ever made me feel like they weren't capable of making me feel like I was wrong. They just wanted to bust my balls. And I made you know what we do as women. How much do you want this to hurt?
Right.
Do you want this to take 5 minutes or 7 hours? It's still going to go my way, because I'm solving the problem. You're not.
Yep.
And then go ahead.
They weren't emotionally intelligent enough to realize, it's just easier to go with it and to learn something from what's about to happen, instead of just putting the brakes on.
Yeah, there was another class he took that some major ball busting going on, major ball busting. It was one of those AP classes, and he wasn't always a candidate for AP because he was very right brain, not left brain, whatever. And this woman, we had some interesting conversations, and ultimately he created a video in a group project. The video was exceptional, just exceptional. And so that video that he was a part of became her bar for showing the other AP students.
Oh, wow.
I was like, I give up, man. Just, I give up. Whatever. It just was astonishing. I someday, if with his blessing, I hope, will tell the stories, because there was so much humor in it. It was brutal. It was brutal. But if I can remember saying to the superintendent, I wanted him. I'm sorry, this is a tangent, but I haven't thought about this stuff in so long. I wanted him to have Dragon Speak, where he could voice to text.
Yeah.
And there was some issue. I don't remember what it was. I don't remember what the issue was, but it wasn't valid enough. And I said I want that in place, or something along the lines, when the doors open in the school, you're just going to hear a giant sucking sound as I take your resources, and my son's got a hooker giving him a blowjob in the hall. Oh, they must have hated me. But my school taxes were like $12,000. So, come on. Anyway, all right. That went sideways. So good luck with the girls. I hope that I just enjoy the hell out of those ages.
They teach me every day that, I am doing things right, and they make me look and get some introspection on, how to be better. I'd always been a dog person growing up, and you've always heard, I want to be the person my dog thinks I am. And now I really want to be the person that my girls think I am. So everything that I do, I do for them. Yeah.
I think my kids will realize it someday. They're well, they either will or they won't. They either will or they won't. And that is something I think in modern day estrangement, especially when men and women are late to standing up to abuse, the fallout due to the indoctrination is brutal.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it coming, although you have said a couple times you can't pick your family. See, I believe our souls do contract for our experiences, and it's that journey back to self that is the human experience. If that makes sense. I'm not looking for agreement, but I feel in my soul that they chose me. So I know that. So I know that that's our connection in 3D and beyond. I get that. But this I make a joke. What the fuck did I contract for? What did I contract? When's he coming? How old is he? I make it about meeting somebody, because I can't ascertain what I would have. In a sense, I assume that I contracted for love, to be able to tolerate all that I've tolerated.
Right. Something's got to come back. Something.
Yeah. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But, whatever the lesson is that I was supposed to learn, I have learned it. But that doesn't mean I don't have to deal with the fallout of what my ignorance created.
I mean, do you really think it's ignorance, though? Or is it just, back to the systems and pressures? Like,
see, you just caught one. You just fucking caught one. You just caught what my therapist was doing to me. You caught me doing it. Right. Right. It wasn't ignorance. It was indoctrination into broken family, broken systems.
Yeah.
No, you nailed it.
And we're taught not to quit. My parents ended up divorced because my father, when not working, does something to a man's brain. Not the breadwinner, and he ended up becoming a pretty nasty alcoholic. Not an abusive. He was a friendly. It wasn't a oh my God, I hate you kind of thing, but the pressure that it put on my parents' relationships. And I remember when she told me she was filing for divorce, as soon as I learned to drive, so she didn't have to drive me around everywhere. It it may have been the first time I've ever seen my mom cry. And it was because she felt like a failure. She felt like she was supposed to fake it and be in stuff because that's where she's supposed to be.
All right. Brian just told me we went over.
Uh-oh.
So we'll stop and let's pick it up with that, because I think you're teaching me, man. I'm so glad to have met you.
Me too.
You mean it?
I do. I love relationships like this. I think it's, we have so much value and things to teach each other, and we all come from different experiences.
Thank you for listening and supporting Natural Born Redhead. If you follow the bouncing balls, please like and subscribe. If you know someone interested in sparing others grief and inciting joy, message me on Facebook or reach out via my website, Natural Born Redhead. J-Ma.